We often live under the illusion that we are fixed, unchanging beings tethered to identities we believe define us. But what if I told you that this identity is an illusion? That the you cling to so fiercely is nothing more than a fleeting construct. To truly transform, you must first disappear not in the physical sense, but by letting go of the rigid ego, the fears and the attachments that bind you. In that disappearance, something remarkable happens. You align with the natural flow of life and rediscover yourself, not as you were, but as you truly are. The idea of the ego is one of the most persistent illusions in human existence. We hold tightly to the belief that there is a me at the center of our lives, a singular entity that is constant and unchanging. From birth we are conditioned to think this way, told that we are our names, our bodies, our accomplishments, and our failures. This sense of self becomes the lens through which we view the world. But what if it is nothing more than a mirage? What if the ego, this thing we protect and nurture, is not real in the way we imagine it to be? Imagine for a moment that you are a wave on the ocean. A wave rises, moves, and eventually dissolves back into the water. At no point is the wave separate from the ocean. It is the ocean manifesting temporarily in a particular form. And yet, as humans, we behave as though we are waves that have somehow severed themselves from the vastness of the sea. We think, I am this wave and I must maintain my form at all costs, but this belief isolates us, creating a barrier between ourselves and the boundless unity of life. When we cling to the ego, we limit ourselves. The ego thrives on boundaries. It says, this is who I am and that is who you are. This is what I want and that is what I fear, but life does not operate in such neat categories. Life is fluid, dynamic, and interconnected. To hold on to a rigid sense of self is to resist the very nature of existence. The more we identify with the ego, the more we suffer, because we are trying to hold on to something that is by its nature impermanent and ever-changing. To begin the process of transformation, we must first question the reality of the ego. This doesn't mean rejecting yourself or denying your individuality. Rather, it is about seeing through the illusion of separateness. You are not a static thing to be labeled and categorized. You are a process, a flow, a part of the ever-changing dance of the universe. Just as a wave is not distinct from the ocean, you are not separate from the life that surrounds you. When you let go of the ego, something extraordinary happens. You begin to experience life directly, without the filter of I and mine. The boundaries between yourself and the world dissolve, and you realize that you are not a fixed point, but an expression of the whole. In this state, transformation becomes effortless. You are no longer trying to control or cling, you are simply allowing life to unfold through you. This is not to say that letting go of the ego is easy. The ego is deeply ingrained, and its voice can be loud and persuasive. It tells you that you must defend yourself, that you must achieve, that you must be seen a certain way. But these are just stories. And like all stories, they can be rewritten or even discarded altogether. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive. Perhaps it was while watching a sunset, lost in the beauty of the moment. Or maybe it was during a conversation where you forgot yourself entirely and were fully present with another person. In those moments, the ego receded, and you disappeared not in a frightening way, but in a liberating one. What disappeared was the false sense of separateness, leaving only the pure experience of being. The disappearance of the ego is not an erasure, it is a return. It is a return to your true nature, which is boundless, interconnected, and free. This is the paradox of transformation. To truly change, you must stop trying to change. You must stop holding on so tightly to who you think you are and allow yourself to simply be. When you do this, you will find that you have not disappeared at all. Instead, you have become something far greater than the limited self you once believed yourself to be. And transformation at its core is an act of letting go. Yet this is often the most difficult thing for us to do. We cling to what we know, to what feels familiar and safe, even when it no longer serves us. There is a certain comfort in the known, even if it keeps us trapped. But to truly grow, to truly transform, we must learn the art of release. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, it is an act of immense courage and trust. Picture a snake shedding its skin. It does not mourn the loss of its old covering, nor does it resist the process. The snake simply allows it to happen, because it understands on an instinctive level that growth requires this shedding. Similarly, we carry within us layers of old identities, fears, beliefs, and attachments that no longer fit who we are or who we are becoming. These layers may have served a purpose once, but now they hold us back. The transformation begins when we recognize this and are willing to let them go. Letting go does not mean forgetting or dismissing the past. It is not about denying your experiences or pretending that certain events did not shape you. Instead, it is about acknowledging these experiences and then releasing your grip on them. The past does not define you, it is simply a part of your story. By letting go, you allow yourself to move beyond the limitations of that story and step into a new chapter. One of the greatest barriers to letting go is fear. We fear the unknown, fear change, and fear the possibility of losing control. The ego, which thrives on stability and predictability, resists letting go because it feels like a threat to its existence. But here's the truth: control is an illusion. Life is inherently unpredictable and ever-changing, and our attempts to hold on tightly only create tension and suffering. Letting go is not about giving up control, it is about realizing that control was never yours to begin with. Consider a flowing river. When we try to hold on to the water, we find it slipping through our fingers. But when we relax and allow the river to flow, we become part of its movement. This is the essence of letting go, surrendering to the flow of life rather than resisting it. When you stop trying to force outcomes and instead trust the natural process, you create space for transformation to occur. Letting go also requires releasing attachments to our ideas of who we should be. We carry so many expectations of success, perfection, approval from others that weigh us down. These expectations are often rooted in societal pressures, or the voices of others rather than our own inner truth. To transform, you must let go of these external demands and listen to the quiet voice within. This is not a passive act, it takes deep reflection and courage to discern what is truly yours and what you have merely inherited from the world around you. Another aspect of letting go is releasing our need for certainty. We often wait for the perfect moment to make a change, believing that we need all the answers before we act. But transformation rarely happens in the comfort of certainty. It requires stepping into the unknown, trusting that the path will reveal itself as you walk it. Letting go of the need to know everything is liberating. It opens you up to possibilities you could never have imagined. There is also immense freedom in letting go of judgment of yourself and others. When we hold on to resentment, anger, or self-criticism, we anchor ourselves to the very things we wish to move beyond. Forgiveness, both of yourself and others, is a powerful act of release. It is not about condoning harm, but about freeing yourself from the chains of the past. Ultimately, letting go is an act of faith, not in a religious sense, but in a profound trust in life itself. It is a recognition that you do not need to control everything to find peace and joy. By letting go, you create the space for transformation to unfold naturally, just as a tree sheds its leaves to make way for new growth. In the emptiness left by what you release, you will discover not loss, but freedom. And in that freedom lies the seed of your transformation. And to embrace the present moment is to step into a realm of profound clarity and freedom. Yet this simple act remains one of the most challenging for us. We are constantly pulled in two directions, haunted by the past and anxious about the future. Our minds replay old memories, analyzing them endlessly, or project forward, constructing scenarios that may never come to pass. In doing so, we miss the only reality that truly exists, the present moment. The present is not just a fleeting point in time, it is the only place where life unfolds. Yet most of us spend so little time here. We live in a state of distraction, our attention divided between countless thoughts, tasks, and worries. This fragmentation robs us of the richness of the moment. Think of the times when you were physically present but mentally elsewhere, sitting with loved ones while your mind wandered to work, walking through nature but focusing on your to-do list. These moments, full of potential for connection and joy, slipped through your fingers unnoticed. And to immerse yourself in the present is not to deny the past or ignore the future. It is about understanding that they are constructs of the mind. The past exists only in your memories, and the future exists only in your imagination. Both are filtered through your thoughts, colored by perception, and often distorted. The present, on the other hand, is raw and unfiltered. It is where you can engage with life as it truly is, not as you think it should be. When you are fully present, the noise of the mind quiets and something extraordinary happens. You disappear, not in a literal sense, but in the sense that the boundaries of me and mine fade away. You are no longer a separate observer standing apart from life. You become part of its flow. In this state, the ego loses its grip, and the need to control or define everything dissolves. You are simply being, experiencing the fullness of existence without resistance or judgment. Engaging with the present moment requires more than a fleeting awareness. It demands practice and intention. One way to anchor yourself in the now is through your senses. Notice the feel of the ground beneath your feet, the sound of the wind, the taste of your food. These sensory experiences are always happening in the present. They cannot be experienced in the past or the future. By paying attention to them, you ground yourself in the reality of now. Breath is another powerful gateway to the present. Your breath is always with you, a constant rhythm that connects you to life. When your mind begins to wander, returning to your breath can center you. Feel the inhale and exhale, the rise and fall of your chest. This simple act brings you back to the moment, reminding you of the life that flows through you. However, being present is not just about noticing what is pleasant or enjoyable. It also means being with discomfort, pain, or uncertainty without trying to escape or change it. We often resist difficult emotions, pushing them away or distracting ourselves. But this resistance only amplifies suffering. When you allow yourself to fully experience what is, without judgment or avoidance, you begin to see that even pain is transient. It too will pass, leaving you stronger and more grounded. The present moment also offers the gift of choice. When you are truly here, you are no longer reacting unconsciously based on past conditioning or future fears. You can respond to life with clarity and intention. Each moment becomes an opportunity to align with your values, to act with kindness, and to move closer to the person you wish to be. There is a profound beauty in the now. It is where the smallest things, a child's laughter, the warmth of sunlight, the quiet of the night, become miracles. When you are present, you realize that these moments, seemingly ordinary, are the essence of life itself. You don't need to chase after grand achievements or distant goals to find fulfillment. It is already here, waiting for you in the simplicity of the present. By embracing the present, you free yourself from the burden of carrying the past and the weight of fearing the future. You step into a state of flow where life feels lighter, more vibrant, and infinitely more meaningful. In this space, transformation becomes natural and effortless. You are no longer trying to become something, you are simply allowing yourself to be. And in that being, you find not only yourself, but the vast interconnected web of existence of which you are an inseparable part. Recreating yourself through awareness begins with a profound realization you are not a fixed entity. The person you believe yourself to be, defined by your name, your history, your habits, and your roles, is not a permanent structure. Instead, you are a process, a flow of energy and consciousness that is constantly evolving. The challenge is that we often lose touch with this fluidity because we become trapped in the stories we tell about ourselves. These stories may feel real, but they are constructs shaped by the past and reinforced by repetition. Awareness is the key to breaking free and allowing genuine transformation to unfold. Awareness is not about analyzing or critiquing yourself. It is a gentle, non-judgmental presence with whatever arises in the moment. When you cultivate awareness, you create space between your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. This space is where true transformation begins. Instead of being carried away by old patterns, you can observe them, understand them, and ultimately let them go. Awareness allows you to see that many of the things you believe about yourself are not inherent truths but conditioned responses. Imagine you have spent your life believing you are shy or incapable of leadership. This belief has shaped your actions and choices, creating a self-fulfilling cycle. But with awareness, you begin to notice the origin of this belief. Perhaps it was a single comment made in your childhood or a fear of rejection that grew over time. As you observe it without judgment, you start to see that it is not an absolute fact, but a story you've carried. In that realization, the belief begins to lose its power and new possibilities open up. You are no longer bound by it, free to explore aspects of yourself you had long suppressed. Awareness is a state of being, not doing. It is not about striving to become someone else or forcing change. It is about allowing change to arise naturally by being fully present with who you are right now. When you stop trying to become and start simply being, you discover a deep sense of ease. You realize that transformation is not something you achieve, it is something that happens when you align with your true nature. And to recreate yourself through awareness, start by observing your thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. You might notice recurring patterns, ways you react to stress, how you speak to yourself, or habits that no longer serve you. Instead of judging these patterns, simply acknowledge them. Awareness is like shining a light into a dark room. Once you see what is there, you can decide what to keep and what to release. This process is not about fixing yourself, because you are not broken. It is about uncovering the layers that obscure your authentic self. As you deepen your awareness, you may notice that the boundaries between you and the world begin to blur. The idea of a separate self, an I distinct from everything else, starts to dissolve. This is not a loss, but a liberation. You begin to see yourself as part of a larger whole, interconnected with all of life. This perspective shifts how you relate to yourself and others. You no longer feel the need to defend or prove your worth, because you understand that you are inherently valuable, just as you are. Awareness also brings a sense of playfulness to transformation. When you let go of the need to control or force outcomes, you can approach life with curiosity and openness. Instead of asking, "What should I become?" you ask, "What is possible in this moment?" This question invites exploration and creativity, allowing you to discover new dimensions of yourself. You may find that transformation is not about adding more to your life, but about letting go of what no longer fits, creating space for something fresh to emerge. This process requires patience and self-compassion. There will be moments when you fall back into old habits or feel stuck. But even in these moments, awareness is your ally. By staying present with what is, rather than resisting or avoiding it, you allow the energy of transformation to continue flowing. Each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your authentic self. Recreating yourself through awareness is not about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you have always been. It is about peeling away the layers of conditioning, fear, and doubt to reveal the truth of your being. In this state, you are no longer bound by the past or limited by the future. You are free to move, grow, and transform in alignment with the rhythm of life itself. And in that freedom, you find not only yourself, but the infinite possibilities of existence. To transform yourself is to align with the flow of life, a process that requires a deep sense of surrender. Life in its essence is not rigid or static, it is dynamic, ever-changing, and inherently fluid. Yet so often we resist this flow, clinging to control, certainty, and the comfort of the familiar. This resistance creates friction, leaving us feeling stuck or disconnected. The key to transformation is not to fight against life, but to merge with its rhythm, to trust its unfolding, and to allow yourself to be carried by its current. Life is not a series of isolated events, but a seamless web of interconnected experiences. Everything is in motion, seasons change, rivers flow, and stars are born and die. You are no different. You are part of this grand, interwoven tapestry, yet the ego convinces you otherwise. It insists that you must stand apart, take charge, and dictate your path. This illusion of separation is the source of much of our struggle. When you resist the flow of life, you cut yourself off from the energy that sustains and transforms you. Letting go of this resistance begins with trust in life's intelligence and its capacity to guide you. Think of a leaf floating on a river. The leaf does not try to control its direction, it simply allows the current to carry it. This does not mean passivity or inaction, but a willingness to respond to what arises rather than forcing outcomes. When you align with the flow, you become like the leaf, moving effortlessly with life rather than against it. This alignment is where transformation occurs naturally and without struggle. Aligning with life's flow also means embracing impermanence. Nothing in existence remains the same forever, and this is not a flaw but a fundamental truth. We often fear change, holding tightly to what we know, but transformation requires letting go of the old to make space for the new. A caterpillar does not resist becoming a butterfly, it surrenders to the process, trusting that the metamorphosis is part of its nature. In the same way, you must trust that life's changes, even the painful or uncertain ones, are essential to your growth. This trust extends to the timing of life. The ego often pushes for immediate results, for transformation to happen on its own schedule. But life operates on its own rhythm, one that cannot be rushed. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a tree, your transformation unfolds at its own pace. Patience is a vital part of aligning with the flow. When you release the need to force or hurry the process, you open yourself to the wisdom of life's timing. Each moment becomes a step in the journey, perfectly placed, even if it does not align with your expectations. And to align with life's flow also means embracing uncertainty. The ego craves predictability, but life is inherently unpredictable. The unknown is not something to be feared, but a space of infinite possibility. When you step into the flow, you step into this space with curiosity and openness. You begin to see that uncertainty is not a void, but a canvas, one on which you can co-create with life. Transformation thrives in this openness, where rigidity dissolves and creativity flourishes. Another aspect of aligning with the flow is listening. Life is always communicating with you through subtle signs, intuitions, and the circumstances around you. When you quiet the noise of the mind and become present, you can hear these messages. They guide you toward what is in harmony with your true self and away from what no longer serves you. This requires trust in your own intuition and the courage to follow where it leads, even if the path is unfamiliar. Aligning with life's flow also deepens your sense of connection to yourself, to others, and to the world around you. You realize that your transformation is not separate from the larger transformation of life itself. Just as the river shapes the landscape it flows through, your growth contributes to the evolution of everything around you. This interconnectedness brings a sense of purpose and belonging, reminding you that your journey is part of a greater whole. In the flow of life, transformation becomes effortless because it is no longer something you are trying to control or achieve. It becomes a natural expression of your being, unfolding as life unfolds. You are not fighting against the current, but dancing with it, allowing it to carry you toward your highest potential. In this state, transformation is not a destination, but a continuous process, one that reflects the endless creativity and vitality of life itself. And as you align with this flow, you discover a freedom and joy that were always there, waiting for you to stop resisting and simply be. We often equate being broke with the lack of money, yet the true nature of wealth lies far beyond numbers on a screen or coins in a pocket. To be broke is not just a financial state, it's a mindset rooted in fear, scarcity, and a disconnection from the present moment. True abundance begins not in the external world, but within ourselves, in how we perceive, create, and flow with the currents of life. Today, let us explore how to transcend the illusion of scarcity, discover our inner wealth, and live in a way that ensures we are never truly broke again. We often think of wealth as something tangible, dollars in a bank account, assets we own, or the outward trappings of success. But what if that notion is fundamentally flawed? What if wealth isn't about accumulation at all, but about how we experience life itself? To understand this, we must first step back and ask, what is money really? It is not a thing of inherent value. It is a tool, a symbol, a means to an end. Yet we have built our lives and identities around the pursuit of this symbol, often forgetting the ends it is meant to serve. True wealth is not a number, it is a quality of being. It is the freedom to wake up in the morning without fear, the ability to create, explore, and engage with life on your terms. It is the realization that what makes us truly rich has little to do with our possessions and everything to do with how fully we are able to live. When we redefine wealth in this way, we begin to see that it is something far more attainable and far more enduring than we have been led to believe. Consider this: a person with millions in the bank but consumed by stress and dissatisfaction is, in a very real sense, broke. They are bankrupt in joy, bankrupt in connection, and bankrupt in purpose. Meanwhile, someone with modest means but a heart full of gratitude, curiosity, and love might be one of the richest people you'll ever meet. Why is this so? Because they have tapped into a form of wealth that cannot be taken away. This wealth comes from within a perspective that sees the abundance in every moment, a creativity that turns challenges into opportunities, and a spirit that embraces the adventure of life rather than resisting it. We live in a society that constantly whispers, sometimes shouts, that we are not enough, not rich enough, not successful enough, not secure enough. This narrative drives us to chase endlessly, always looking for wealth in the future, in the next paycheck or the next investment. But the truth is, the more we chase, the more elusive it becomes. Because wealth, in its truest form, is not something to be pursued. It is something to be realized here and now. When you begin to see wealth as a state of mind, you understand that it is inseparable from how you choose to live your life. Do you savor the small, fleeting moments that make up each day? Do you nurture relationships that fill your heart and enrich your spirit? Do you cultivate the skills and passions that bring you a sense of purpose and fulfillment? These are the real currencies of life, and they are infinitely more valuable than any sum of money. But to embrace this truth, we must let go of fear, the fear of not having enough, the fear of losing what we have, the fear of an uncertain future. Fear creates a sense of lack, even in the midst of abundance. It blinds us to the possibilities before us and keeps us stuck in a cycle of anxiety and scarcity. By releasing this fear, we open ourselves to the flow of life. We become more willing to take risks, to give generously, to trust in the natural ebb and flow of resources. And in doing so, we discover that the universe is far more abundant than we ever imagined. To never be broke again is not about accumulating a mountain of wealth, but about redefining what wealth means. It is about shifting your focus from what you lack to what you have, from what you want to what you can create. It is about realizing that your true riches lie not in your bank account, but in your ability to live fully, to give freely, and to embrace the present moment with open arms. When you understand this, you will see that you have always been wealthy, and that true poverty lies only in forgetting this simple truth. Scarcity is one of the most pervasive illusions that governs human life. From an early age, we are taught to see the world as a place of competition, a place where there are only so many resources, opportunities, and rewards to go around. This mindset creates a sense of perpetual lack of belief that we must fight and scrape to claim our share before someone else takes it. But is this truly the nature of reality? Or is it a mental construct, a lens through which we view the world, shaping our experiences and decisions? Look at nature, and you will see that it operates in abundance. Trees produce countless seeds, not with the expectation that each will grow, but in celebration of possibility. Rivers flow, providing life to everything they touch without hesitation. The sun rises every day, shining its light on all beings equally. In the natural world, there is no concept of not enough. There is only flow, balance, and endless cycles of creation and renewal. The scarcity mindset, however, traps us in a very different paradigm. It tells us that life is a zero-sum game, where one person's gain must be another's loss. It encourages hoarding of money, possessions, time, even love, out of fear that there won't be more. But in clinging to what we have, we cut ourselves off from the very source of abundance. We stop trusting in the natural flow of life and instead grasp tightly to the illusion of control, creating stress, tension, and a perpetual sense of inadequacy. The truth is that scarcity begins in the mind. It is not an objective reality, but a subjective interpretation of the world. When we believe we lack something, we become blind to the opportunities and resources that are already available to us. For example, someone who sees themselves as lacking money may overlook the skills, relationships, or ideas they already possess that could create financial abundance. Their focus on not enough narrows their vision and blocks their creativity, reinforcing the very state they fear. But what happens when we shift our perspective? When we stop seeing the world as a place of competition and instead view it as a place of collaboration and possibility, suddenly the illusion of scarcity begins to dissolve. We start to notice the countless ways in which abundance is already present in our lives. We see that opportunities are not something we need to chase, but something we can create. We realize that by sharing and giving freely, we invite more abundance into our lives, not less. This shift is not just theoretical, it has practical implications. Consider how people approach money. Those who operate from a scarcity mindset often fear spending or investing, clinging to their resources as though they could run out at any moment. This fear prevents them from taking risks, pursuing new opportunities, or even enjoying the fruits of their labor. In contrast, those who embrace abundance see money as a tool, a resource to be used and circulated. They invest in their growth, support others, and trust that the flow will return to them in time. The same principle applies to time, energy, and relationships. When we operate from scarcity, we become stingy with our time, hesitant to extend ourselves to others, and resistant to giving without a guaranteed return. But when we embrace abundance, we realize that giving does not deplete us, it enriches us. Helping someone else succeed does not diminish our own potential, it expands it. Building connections, sharing knowledge, and contributing to the well-being of others creates a ripple effect that returns to us in ways we cannot always predict or measure. To transcend the illusion of scarcity, we must cultivate a mindset of trust in ourselves, trust in the flow of life, and trust in the boundless possibilities that surround us. This trust is not naive optimism, but a recognition of the deeper truth that abundance is our natural state. The universe itself is abundant, from the stars in the sky to the cells in our bodies. When we align ourselves with this truth, we free ourselves from the chains of scarcity and step into a life of creativity, generosity, and endless potential. Money, like energy, is meant to flow. It is not something to be hoarded or clung to, but something that exists in motion, connecting people, opportunities, and ideas. When we grasp this simple truth, we begin to see that financial struggles often arise not from a lack of resources, but from a disruption in the natural flow. The act of clinging, whether out of fear, greed, or uncertainty, creates stagnation. And just like a river that ceases to flow becomes stagnant and lifeless, so too does money lose its vitality when we try to control it too tightly. The flow of money is rooted in the principle of exchange. Every time we give or receive money, we are participating in a dance of energy, contributing to a cycle that sustains life and society. Yet many of us view money through a lens of scarcity, seeing each expenditure as a loss rather than as part of this greater flow. This perspective creates tension and fear, making us hesitant to invest in ourselves, others, or opportunities. But the truth is, money is not meant to be held onto endlessly. It is meant to circulate, to move, and to transform into something of value, whether that be goods, services, knowledge, or experiences. Think of a tree that bears fruit. The tree does not hoard its fruit for fear of running out. Instead, it offers its bounty freely, trusting in the cycle of nature to sustain it. The fruit nourishes others, spreads seeds, and contributes to the ecosystem that in turn supports the tree's growth. In much the same way, when we release money with trust and intention, we create space for it to return to us in new and unexpected forms. This is the essence of the flow, a cycle of giving and receiving that is not just transactional but transformational. However, this flow requires balance. Just as giving too little can create stagnation, so too can giving too much without mindfulness. Many people mistakenly equate generosity with self-sacrifice, depleting their own resources in an attempt to help others. But true flow is not about neglecting yourself, it is about maintaining harmony, ensuring that what you give aligns with what you have and what you can sustain. When you give from a place of balance, your contributions are not only more meaningful but also more sustainable, allowing the cycle of abundance to continue. Receiving is equally important in maintaining the flow. Many people struggle with accepting money, help, or opportunities, feeling unworthy or burdened by a sense of obligation. But receiving is not a passive act, it is an active acknowledgement of the flow. By accepting what comes to you with gratitude, you complete the cycle and allow others to give, reinforcing the natural rhythm of exchange. This is not selfish or indulgent, it is a recognition that abundance is not a one-way street but a shared journey. This understanding also extends to how we view investments and risks. Fear often tells us to play it safe, to hold tightly to what we have, and to avoid the unknown. But the flow of money thrives on movement, on taking calculated risks that open doors to new possibilities. Whether it's investing in education, starting a business, or supporting a cause you believe in, these acts of faith are what keep the flow alive. They are expressions of trust in yourself, your vision, and the interconnected web of life. The key to mastering the flow is mindfulness. Every decision you make about money, how you earn it, spend it, save it, or give it, should be intentional, guided by your values and goals. When you act with awareness, you align yourself with the flow, allowing money to move through your life in a way that supports not only your own well-being but also the well-being of others. In the end, money is not the ultimate goal. It is a tool, a symbol, a means of participating in the vast and intricate exchange that sustains our world. When we understand this, we stop clinging and start trusting. We stop fearing loss and start celebrating the opportunities that flow through our hands. And in doing so, we discover that abundance is not something we achieve, but something we are already a part of, a boundless, ever-moving current that is always within reach. In a world obsessed with material wealth, we often overlook the most valuable resources we possess, our inner currency. This inner wealth is made up of our skills, creativity, ideas, resilience, and ability to adapt. Unlike money, which can come and go, these assets are enduring and deeply personal. They are the foundations upon which true, lasting abundance is built. The great secret of wealth is not found in what you have, but in who you are and what you can create. Every human being is a reservoir of potential. We are born with the capacity to learn, grow, and innovate, yet society often conditions us to believe that wealth comes from external sources, inheritance, luck, or an employer's paycheck. This belief diminishes our sense of agency and blinds us to the incredible power we hold within. Your mind, your creativity, and your ability to adapt to changing circumstances are your greatest assets. They are the tools that allow you to generate value in any situation, no matter how challenging. Skills are one of the most tangible forms of inner currency. The more you invest in developing your abilities, the more opportunities you create for yourself. Skills are not static, they evolve with effort and practice. Whether it's learning a trade, mastering a craft, or acquiring knowledge in a field that excites you, the process of building skills is a lifelong journey. What's remarkable about skills is that they don't just serve you, they serve others. The more capable you become, the more value you can offer to the world, and the more the world will reward you in return. But skills are only part of the equation. Creativity is another vital component of inner wealth. Creativity allows you to see possibilities where others see obstacles, to turn simple ideas into extraordinary outcomes, and to find solutions to problems that seem insurmountable. It is the spark that fuels innovation and growth. Contrary to popular belief, creativity is not a gift reserved for artists or inventors. It is a universal trait, one that resides within all of us. It is the ability to approach life with curiosity, to question the status quo, and to envision something better. When you nurture your creativity, you tap into an endless source of potential. Resilience is another essential form of inner currency. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. But those who possess resilience are not easily deterred. They view setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than as permanent failures. Resilience is the strength to keep going when the road gets tough, the courage to adapt when circumstances change, and the wisdom to know that every experience, good or bad, has something to teach us. This quality cannot be bought or borrowed. It is cultivated through experience, reflection, and a willingness to embrace life's uncertainties. Adaptability is the final piece of this puzzle. In a rapidly changing world, the ability to pivot, to adjust to new circumstances, and to seize emerging opportunities is invaluable. Those who cling to rigid plans or outdated ways of thinking often struggle to thrive. But those who embrace change, who are willing to learn and grow, find that the possibilities are endless. Adaptability is not just about survival, it is about thriving in the face of uncertainty. It is the skill of turning challenges into stepping stones and navigating the ever-shifting landscape of life with confidence and grace. The beauty of inner currency is that it grows with use. The more you apply your skills, exercise your creativity, build resilience, and practice adaptability, the richer you become, not just financially, but in every sense of the word. This wealth is not dependent on external circumstances. It cannot be taken away by economic downturns, job losses, or market fluctuations. It is yours to cultivate, yours to rely on, and yours to share. When you recognize the value of your inner currency, you begin to see opportunities everywhere. You realize that you are not a passive recipient of life's circumstances, but an active creator of your own reality. This shift in perspective is empowering. It frees you from the fear of scarcity and opens your eyes to the abundance that is always within your reach. True wealth is not measured by the money you have, but by the value you can create. It is found in your ability to contribute, to innovate, and to transform challenges into opportunities. When you embrace your inner currency, you tap into a source of wealth that is infinite, enduring, and uniquely your own. This is the foundation of a life that is not only prosperous, but deeply fulfilling. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that shapes our relationship with money and abundance. It whispers to us in moments of uncertainty, convincing us that we don't have enough, won't have enough, or can't create enough. It keeps us clinging to what little we have, afraid to take risks, afraid to invest in ourselves, and afraid to trust in the unknown. But this fear is not rooted in reality, it is a construct of the mind, a story we tell ourselves about the dangers of scarcity and loss. And to truly live a life of abundance and ensure that we are never broke again, we must learn to live beyond this fear. At its core, the fear of being broke is a fear of insecurity. It's the worry that without money we'll lose our safety, our comfort, or even our dignity. But the paradox is that this fear often leads to behaviors that create the very insecurity we seek to avoid. It causes us to play small, to settle for less, and to miss opportunities that could lead to greater freedom and prosperity. The fear of losing money can be so paralyzing that it prevents us from using it wisely, keeping us trapped in a cycle of scarcity. Living beyond fear does not mean ignoring it or pretending it doesn't exist. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty, and it often carries valuable lessons. But rather than letting it control us, we can learn to understand it, face it, and ultimately transcend it. The first step in overcoming the fear of being broke is to recognize it for what it is: a story, not a fact. It is a projection of the mind, imagining worst-case scenarios that rarely come to pass. When we become aware of this, we begin to see that the fear itself is often more limiting than the reality we are afraid of. To move beyond fear, we must cultivate trust in ourselves, trust in our abilities, and trust in the flow of life. This trust is not blind optimism, it is a deep-seated confidence in our capacity to adapt, create, and thrive no matter the circumstances. When we trust ourselves, we stop seeing challenges as threats and start viewing them as opportunities. We realize that even if we face setbacks, we have the inner resources to recover and rebuild. This trust is the antidote to fear because it shifts our focus from what we lack to what we can do. Another way to transcend fear is to embrace action. Fear thrives on stagnation and uncertainty. It feeds on our hesitation and indecision. But when we take action, whether it's learning a new skill, starting a project, or reaching out for support, we disrupt fear's hold on us. Action reminds us of our power to influence our circumstances, no matter how small the steps may seem. Each act of courage, each choice to move forward, weakens fear's grip and strengthens our belief in what's possible. It's also essential to redefine our relationship with failure. Much of the fear of being broke stems from a fear of making mistakes or taking risks that don't pay off. But failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the process. Every failure carries lessons, insights, and opportunities for growth. When we stop fearing failure, we open ourselves to experimentation, innovation, and the possibility of discovering paths we might never have considered. Living beyond fear means embracing failure as a teacher and understanding that each step forward, even if imperfect, is a step toward abundance. Generosity is another powerful tool for overcoming fear. Fear often makes us contract, hold back, and guard what we have. But when we practice generosity, whether it's with our time, energy, or resources, we affirm that we live in a world of plenty. Giving creates a sense of connection and abundance, reminding us that we are part of a larger flow. It shifts our focus from scarcity to contribution, from fear to faith. Generosity is not about giving away what you can't afford, it's about recognizing the wealth you already have and sharing it in ways that uplift yourself and others. Ultimately, living beyond fear is about embracing the unknown. Life is inherently uncertain, and no amount of planning or preparation can eliminate that fact. But within uncertainty lies possibility, and within possibility lies freedom. When we let go of the need to control every outcome, we open ourselves to the unexpected blessings that life has to offer. We learn to trust the process, to find joy in the journey, and to see each moment as an opportunity to grow, create, and thrive. The fear of being broke is a powerful illusion, but it is not an insurmountable one. By facing it with courage, trust, and action, we can free ourselves from its grip and step into a life of abundance. Beyond fear lies a world of endless potential, a world where we are not defined by what we lack, but empowered by what we can create. In this world, we discover that true wealth is not about having more, but about living fully, fearlessly, and with a heart open to all the possibilities that life has to offer.